Mm, 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 mm. Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Sisters and brothers, another special presentation. Another one I've been working on for several days. Brothers and sisters, the sign of Jonah. The sign of Jonah. We're going to talk a little more about the sign of Jonah today, in a way I haven't talked about before. Deep dark, hidden secrets. Well, there's so much that's been hidden from you, brothers and sisters. So much has been hidden. I'm trying to give you as much as I can. A little time I have to do it in, because hell's at the doorsteps. Oh, gosh, yes, that was hell. But this says this is a time unprecedented. That means it's even worse than that. For who? I guess that's the question, isn't it? Sign of Jonah. See, we're told that the only sign that was given to this wicked generation is sign of Jonah. That means not to everybody, that's to the wicked generation, because there be many signs, but sign that was given to them, because see, they would produce signs themselves. Like the son of addition, he produces signs. He said he would do signs like the Million Man March. Oh, that was throwing your face, Million Man March. And said that's from God. Well, what was the Million Man fiasco from? Where'd that come from? That the Million Man March was God. They said no one could have done that but God. Then what happened during the Million Man fiasco that followed up? Because usually, right, the follow-up, if the original was great, the follow-up should be magnificent, right? Because the first was so great, how come the second was a total disaster? No one showed up. But the son of addition would produce signs. We're told that. Bragging about his signs. This is here. Let's see here. But it said the only sign given to this wicked generation, sign of Jonah. And we're going to talk about that. Why is that? We're told that they have a plan. Allah has a plan. I've been talking about their plan. I'm going to talk about a little more detail today. One second here, brothers and sisters. Check something here. Okay, I'm going to talk about a little more today. Sign of Jonah. So let's talk about a few things first, brothers and sisters. New Jerusalem. We're going to talk about that too. A few more details about that. So we have several things we want to talk about today, brothers and sisters. But I want to go over this idea of the big lie. Oops. See, brothers and sisters, It says that Gog and Magog, when they came out of Dark Ages, 1,000 years, chapter 20, they would deceive the whole world. Deceive the whole world about what? See, everything boils down to pressure, low pressure and high pressure. Everything boils down to that, brothers and sisters. Universe is pressure, force, but it's pressure. And when you understand that basic principle, right? Then you understand, you have the wisdom to understand what's the underlying principle behind the scriptures, like the Bible and the Quran. It's all about pressure. You need to understand that. Greater pressure and lower pressure. Truth and falsehood. Falsehood in that sense is just lower pressure. The weapon of lower pressure, the only weapon they really have against pressure is deception. And I've been constantly singing that song over and over and over and over again for quite some time, that their power over you is based on deception. Deception. Because you have greater power than them. You have greater pressure than them. They know it. And they know that only way to overcome you is by getting you to lower your pressure, your force field, because your pressure is your force field. See, greater pressure is a force field against lower pressure. It's a force field against lower pressure, period. Because lower pressure cannot prevail against higher pressure. It cannot penetrate it. It can do nothing with it. It's impossible. It's nothing lower pressure can get through the high pressure, but get out of its way. It can restrain its growth, but it can't defeat it. It's impossible. Sisters here, let's see. Oh. Okay. What I mean, it can't, right? It can restrain it. Well, it depends on the lower pressure. If the pressure is a situation between 1,000 pounds per square inch and 900 pounds per square inch, right? That means it has more power to restrain higher pressure than 50 pounds per square inch because of the pressure differential. So high pressure will prevail against it, right? But it's going to have some resistance because pressure is resistance. The greater differential, right, the less resistance. So 100,000 pounds per square inch will just totally wipe out 1 pound per square inch or 10 pounds per square inch. But if it's 900 pounds per square inch, right, it will expand, it will move it out the way, but it's not with the greater effect that it would against 100 pounds per square inch. Understand that. But still prevail against it. And there's nothing that the lower pressure can do but restrain the growth of the higher pressure to some extent. Now, it can't stop it. You can just slow it down. Slow its expansion down. Right? That's all I can do. But to defeat it or to stop it, the only weapon lower pressure has is deception, to get you to lower your pressure, to lower your force field to a level lower than theirs. Then they are the masters. They prevail. Their pressure is higher than yours, so now you're in submission to them, because lower pressure submits to higher pressure, period. And thought is pressure. And they want to keep you from thinking. And they have been very successful at it, because for most black folks, not talking about demons, or just black folk, demons are black-faced children, they're devils and black-faced children, but for most, they've been very successful because you don't think about anything, and you definitely don't think about mathematics. And really, mathematics is a true test of your intelligence. Don't tell about the IQ test and all that kind of stuff. Mathematics is a true test of your intelligence, because your mind, your brain is mathematical. It's based on logic, reason. That's mathematics. And so the more you can understand mathematics, it means it's more powerful, more power you have in your mind. Because you say, oh man, I can solve powers, that, all those things. But if it's the mathematics. Like you look at weights all you want, you got to lift it. Mathematics, true test of your IQ, so to speak. It's what raises your math. The angel is mathematical. The whole process is mathematical. But pure mathematics is what lifts your mind up. That's to test your IQ. So if you can add and subtract, then you're definitely not going to understand angel anyway, because your thinking is not to that level. I'm not going to dwell on that, brothers and sisters, but that's your true test, because Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. If you don't understand mathematics, you don't understand Islam. And those clowns with their Farrakhan, they know they can barely add and subtract. They don't teach mathematics because they don't know mathematics. They get to try to wax mathematical like dumb ass Nuri the other day. Oh, centrifugal force and centrifugal force and excuse me, brothers, centripetal force. There's two types of forces. One's center seeking and one's, there's difference in them, but the way he was trying to explain it didn't mean anything. He's trying to show that, we talking mathematics. So he talked about two simple examples and nobody understood anyway. Centripetal force and centrifugal force. One's like outwardly and one's inwardly. I'm leave that there, brothers and sisters. But the point is that mathematics is Islam. Islam is mathematics. And Master Prophet Muhammad told Elijah Muhammad, if you want to be successful, learn the mathematical language. And I'm trying to teach you the mathematical language. I'm trying to show you the mathematical basis behind everything. But the big lie is, what you call a lie is just a deception. And I keep talking about self-imposed energy deprivation. That's what the enemy is using, the devil is using to get you to lower your force field. That's what he did to Elijah Muhammad's army, the Nation of Islam. They sent Farrakhan in to lower their force because they had no controller. That story about Mark. And Mark, you see in Mark about the demon-possessed man, he says, no one could control him. It's talking about the people, talking about Elijah Muhammad's army. No one could control them. That means they was beyond control. They was always, no one could control them. But the demons got in there and got a hold of them. He said they had broken chains and everything. That means they had broken the chains. The devil had no control of them. They had broken their chains and stuff. They was in the tombs. And right over here, we're in the tombs right where Lazarus is buried. He said no one could control them. Because like Muhammad taught them, taught them, right? To lift their minds. Their pressure was great. They started getting their minds back. And their pressure was greater than the devil's pressure. They had no control anymore. Because lower pressure cannot control higher pressure with only deception. So they sent a lion, Farrakhan there, the son of perdition, to lower your force field so now they have control of you again. They say, well, yes, he is Aaron. But they count you not reading this stuff. You look at nothing good about Aaron, not even in the Quran. In the Quran, Moses wanted to kill Aaron. Because he misled the people and he got all his followers killed. Yeah, he's Aaron, most definitely. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. It's deception. If they can get you to mismanage your energy, see, energy, right now we're in a situation where we have to be very, very, right, careful about our energy management. See, when you're wealthy, you don't have to worry about money that much, right? Because, hey, man, you don't have to worry about your budget that much. But when you're poor, you have to worry about your budget. I mean, I got so much food, I got so much here, or I don't have enough money, I'm going to have to go without this. You got to, and right now, we're in this time where we have to pay attention to our budget. We get home and we have to pay attention to our budget, because we'll be overflowing. Milk and honey will be, right? Our riches beyond imagination. So when we get to that point, we won't have to worry about a budget, but we have to worry about it now, because we're at the point, right, where we're not suffering personal energy deprivation anymore unless it's self-imposed. And it's self-imposed because you're not managing your energy, because you don't understand the nature of energy, you don't understand the mathematics behind it, you don't understand that we all receive the same amount of energy, and you understand that we require so much energy, but we only have so much energy. Earth produces so much energy per day, and it's divided by the population. And we don't have enough to maintain. It takes energy to maintain your personal self. It takes energy to maintain your family. It takes energy to maintain your tribe. It takes energy to maintain a civilization. It takes energy to bat your eyes. It takes energy to smoke. You know, if you want to smoke, right? Whatever you want to do, it takes energy to do it. I ain't talking about smoking, but I'm just saying, whatever you do, it takes energy to do it. You bat your eyes, it takes energy. We all get a certain amount of energy. So right now, we receive energy every 5 to 50 years. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes all of a sudden. And we receive an energy wave every 50 years since the universe is contracting, and it is absorbed by the earth. The earth converts into form we can use. And Suma is taking the energy he has and converting it into form, right, to keep you from being deceived, to tell you the truth. That's what he's used his energy for. He's managing energy that way. How you manage your energy? If you need 1,000 units of energy per day and you're only getting 750, that means you had a 250 units of energy deficit. That means you got to really manage your energy. But what if you're getting 1,000? You need 1,000, require 1,000, but you blowing 250 on Beyonce and Jay-Z and video games and the new Black Panther movie and partying and vaping and stuff. That's self-imposed, because now you're not getting all the energy you need because you're wasting it on other things. And so now your power is fading, and now so the devil's power remains higher than yours, even though you have naturally more power than he has, but he's getting you to waste yours so he can control you. It's like a female has less natural power than a man does. I'm talking about as far as strength. They have equal power when it's this different quality. Your power comes in another form. Anyway, they have lower strength. Naturally, man has advantage, he has greater strength. But if a woman can trick that man into sitting around doing nothing, no exercise, don't go into the gym, start eating Doritos every day and drinking wine, he's gonna be weaker than her after a while. And then she can whoop his ass all she wants. Because he don't know that she's got him thinking against himself, right? And so he's weakening himself, the program she's programming him to be weaker, and so now she can whip him, even though he has the natural power to overcome her, but he's not using it because she deceived him into wasting it. And that's what they have done to us, because our power, our brain power is greater than theirs. The lessons tell you that. They trick you using less of it. They don't want you to learn mathematics. Most of you won't go to school for mathematics because I can understand some of it, because they make it, they intentionally confuse it so you won't be interested in it. And then you say, oh, I have no use for it anyway. What I'm going to use it for? I understand that. But the point is that you keep talking about reparations and you get your own 6 states. Well, who's going to run it? If you don't know mathematics, if you don't know electronics, if you know engineering, who's going to run it? You can't run it playing video games. I'm going to call Superman, call the Hulk. Who are you going to call? Iron Man? They going to come and do it for you? Come on, brothers, sisters, be real. They're keeping you, and that's why they give you all these movies. And it's never been so many And most of them, and all it's designed at you. You think it's designed, no, it's designed at you. All this transgender stuff, it's designed at you. To keep your mind on a lower level than theirs. Because they know if you stop doing that, they already saw what happened with Elijah Muhammad's army. Elijah Muhammad raised them above, and they couldn't do anything with it. That's what it says in Man of March. They couldn't do anything with them. They didn't know they had no control anymore. They had to send the demons in that look like them, walk at them, to trick them, deceive them, right? To get back control of them again. We're going to talk about that. But that's their weapon, brothers and sisters. Deception. Deceive you into American dream, which a dream is not real. You had a promised land, but they tell you no. Forget about the promised land. Ain't no promised land. What Pharaoh God said, you ain't going home. But he's supposed to be the messenger of the covenant, right? Well, why did he not teach about the covenant? The covenant says we're going home after we earn. But he said, no, you're sinful. That's why he don't tell you about going, because we don't deserve a reward, because we're sinful. That's the devil's message. That wasn't Elijah Muhammad's message. You're sinful, because that's the demon's message, because he's a demon, follows the devil. He's working for them 100%. It's going to come out soon that he's worked for them all the time. That's one of the things that will come out. He's been working for them all the time. He's been exposed. He's about to be destroyed. They're going to turn on him in a minute, because they don't want him either. They've been using him for 42 years. That's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. See, Elijah Muhammad scared them to death. That's why he put false Israel up before the 8. Because he said we're true to Abraham, which is a fact. It's provable. It's easy to provable. We had history and everything. They have nothing. They talking about they had an ark. They lost the ark. They never had the ark. I got the ark. Ark of the covenant. I'm the messenger of the covenant. I'm telling you about the covenant, and we're going home. No one is telling you about the covenant. Some of you didn't even know about the covenant until I told you. It said the messenger of the covenant will suddenly come to Elijah's temple. That means it's not Elijah. And sure ain't Pharaoh, because he's not telling you about the covenant. He's saying you ain't going nowhere. He's calling God a liar. He's calling Elijah Muhammad a liar. Because Elijah Muhammad's whole mission, right, was to prepare us to go home. Better read Exodus again. The big lie. Okay, brother, let's move on here. I got some very interesting things. Well, I got some very special things to tell you about, brothers and sisters. I want to show you something, but I'm not going to try to tell you what to think about this or not. Okay, so let you make up your mind on this. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. But it talks about the time to flee, abomination of desolation. And the mention says, your flight should not be on the Sabbath or the winter. Pray your flight when it be on the Sabbath or the winter. There's a lot of ways to look at this. I'm not going to commit to anything, bro. So I'm just pointing something out here. Something I just can't say right now. Right? But we know the winter is December. So if you go and look at the angel key, right, the winter will be December. But we know also Sabbath is the 7th month. That puts September. So what are they saying there? Are they saying because the seventh month, that represents the NOI, like Mama's army. The 6th month represents demons, that's the black-faced devils. We're all going to be under attack. So they pray that you're not one of them, because those are the ones that are going to be attacked. Specifically, in a certain instance, I'm going to explain. That's what I pointed out, Bun says, I'm not committed on that. I'm just pointing that out. I don't want anybody to go crazy on that one. Right? Because I'm going to talk about this in a little more detail, but I just want to point that out there. Because some things are kind of like, well, I'm going to show you in a minute what I mean, why I'm doing this. I'm not just doing this just for fun here. And then it talks about, well, we're going to see this in a minute, right? See, because they're attacked. At this point, they're attacked. You see that. America and Britain. They've been attacked. So pray you're not one of them. Is that what it's trying to tell you? Everything is being explained, but some things will be explained in more detail as time goes on. And see here, this is one of the reasons I'm bringing this up, because this is kind of curious. And like I said, I probably shouldn't even mention this all unless I really explain it, but I'm not going to explain it. Now you got two, you got Matthews, and I think you got Mark here, or Luke. They say the same thing, but say it's slightly different. But woe to those women who are pregnant, those who are nursing babies in those days. I think that's what Matthew says. What did Luke say? But woe to those women who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. They say exactly the same thing. But look at the next verse. Moreover, pray that it will not happen in the winter. Well, look what Matthew, I think I have it right. Moreover, pray that when you flee, it will not be in the winter nor on a Sabbath. So they didn't mention Sabbath in this one. They didn't mention on the other one. What's going on with that? But they also mention flee when they talk about the Sabbath, but they don't mention flee when they talk about the other one. They say winter. What to make of that? Because Mark and Luke, those were in different scripts. What it was is that they usually say the same thing in two different ones, but they say it'd be slight differences. Those slight differences is to make you understand what they really was talking about. Because what's the point in writing the same thing over and over again? The slight differences, no slight differences are important. Just something to ponder. Okay, let's go. Now look here, brothers and sisters. Talk about a few things here. Now, when you see desolation of abominable desolation, standing where it should not be, let the reader understand. Those who are in Judea, see, they think they're talking about people over in the Middle East. They're not talking about that at all. Understand, and you keep to understand that. Must flee to the mountains. You understand that part either. Moreover, whoever's in the house top must not go down nor go into to get anything out of his house. That means whatever's in there, you better leave it. Right? And whoever's in the field must not go back to get his cloak. You just got to go. But woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing baby those days. This is where I got that from. Moreover, pray that will not happen in the winter. See? So they are talking about flee in this one. See? Just don't mention that particular verse. See? For those days will be such a time of tribulation has not been occurred since the beginning of the creation which God created until now, never will again. And see, it says those, they're not talking about women physically pregnant. They're talking about the war when America, and it's chapter 18 where they're cast out. That one is cast in the sea and one is cast down to earth. That's Babylon, and that's America. That's Gog and Magog, American Britain. See, and they're the ones that's pregnant. See. It says, woe those women who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. So that's those that pregnant and nursing babies. Okay? Because they got some under them. That's what it means. So it's woe to them. It's woe to Gog and Magog, because they're the ones that's being targeted here. Abomination desolation refers to false Israel being surrounded by armies. Because now that American Britain is kicked out of the Middle East, false Israel is isolated and under siege. So when you see that situation, it says flee. Flee. I'm going to talk about that a little more as we move along. So it says the same thing, only they add the part about the Sabbath. Okay? Same thing. There's the added part about the Sabbath. So you can read at your leisure. But I'm mentioning this because I'm not telling you exactly what's happening, because it tells you right here. If I could tell you that, then this would be a lie. It says, but on that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, only the Father. See? So I don't know the exact time. Well, I know it's general time, because the angel gives you general time, because we know it's happening. Is this the time? But what actual day or week, I don't know. I've narrowed it down to a month. It says no one knows what Master from Muhammad himself, period. So don't think I'm trying to tell you it's going to be on December 21st. I'm not saying anything like that. I would like to know. That's one of the things that pissed me off to some extent. But then I say if I didn't know, I'd probably be in Gitmo being waterboarded right now. If they thought I knew. So I guess there's some reason, rationale behind it. Okay, brothers and sisters. I want to talk a little bit about Adam and Eve's story, because I'm preparing. I'm working up to something, right? So it's like a redux, but I'm working up to something. Now I'm gonna go through a detail. I'm just go pretty much just talk about it in general. Now Adam and Eve, they was told not to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, not good and evil, that's two sides. That's 360 degrees, right? I mean, that should be the 360 degrees of knowledge, right? Knowledge of good, knowledge of evil. Apparently there's another level, but for most practical purposes, good and evil, I mean, that pretty much covers everything, right? There's still not, so remember, knowledge. This tree had knowledge. It's not one tree, it's multiple trees, because no tree bears multiple fruit. And we'll see it because there's also a tree of life and other trees too. So it's actually two trees there. Anyway, that's another story. So that means they didn't have knowledge. They had no knowledge, because if they was told to eat that, and that's comprehensive, that's 360 degrees, knowledge of good, that's why you think they said those ways. That means they had no knowledge. They was ignorant, dumb. And this is not talking about some original people, right, in the Garden of Eden. See? Because we know it's not, because it's not this one, because it said in the end, it says, if they want you, they trying to keep Adam from getting hold of the tree of life, because it says he'll become like us. That means multiple. They'll say, well, that's talking about God and Jesus. No, it's not. It's talking about the original people, tribe of Shabbat. So you become like us, be gods like us. Because it said, be gods like us. So if you're going to say as God and Jesus, well, did Jesus ever call himself a God? Maybe some of you think that. Anyway. They say, so they're told, you have this knowledge. Now you say, oh well, he kind of exaggerate. Well, look into it. It says once they ate it, once they ate of the tree, they realized they was naked, because they had been naked before and wasn't ashamed of it. It didn't bother them. That means they was ignorant, and they didn't even know they was ignorant. We talking about knowledge here. They didn't have it. They was ignorant. They was naked. You think they're talking about to put on clothes and stuff. That's what you think. That's that BS that you've been getting from Christianity and stuff. That they was two people and they was in the garden naked. No, that means they was ignorant. It was totally ignorant, had no knowledge. And the tree had knowledge, comprehensive knowledge, and they didn't have it, right? It was told, don't mess with it. Said, because if the day you eat it, you will die. So they was told, don't mess with it. See? So understand here, it's about knowledge. And they didn't have it. They was ignorant. This is talking about the Europeans. See, because America is the Garden of Eden. And a tree was brought here, transplanted, brought here. That tree had that knowledge. That tree had that knowledge they bought. See? Those trees had that knowledge. But they didn't have it, and they was naked. But those trees did. Tree of knowledge of good and evil had it, but they didn't have it, they was naked. And they wasn't ashamed because they had on, they was ignorant, didn't even really know, they didn't know they were ignorant. Now the Europeans, they've been there 6,000 years, some places started to confirm that fact. But we know from their history that for 5,500 years, there was horse and buggy, ignorant. They didn't know the world was round. 5,500 years. Totally ignorant, thought the world was flat. They had none of this science you see now. It was horse and buggy, ignorant, until they brought us here with a tree. With a tree. See? Understand that. So they say the day you eat it, you will die. That's two connotations, sealed Bible and unsealed Bible. The sealed Bible, a day is 500 years. That's what we see in Genesis. Each day was two parts, a day and a night. And they've had us over here nearly 500 years. And the unsealed Bible day is a year. So they eat it, they will die. Okay? Understand that. So understand, they was ignorant. They didn't realize they was ignorant. They was totally ignorant, and they was not ashamed. Because if you're ignorant, how would you know you're ignorant? How does a dog know it's a dog? Okay? Let's move on, brothers and sisters. Let's see if we make some sense out of any of this. I'm building towards something here. So I'm not going to go to all this. It says, but out here it says, the man and woman, both naked, but they were not ashamed. They was ignorant, wasn't ashamed of being ignorant. Okay? I mean, if you're ignorant, right? How you know you're ignorant? And then they ate. It said the woman ate first. The woman represents America, Gog. And then convinced Adam to eat. See? And they came from dust of earth, means they came out of European. Adam came out of Britain, out of Europe. Europe is considered the dust of earth. You understand the angel key, earth represents European countries. They was the dust of the earth because they was the dust of European countries. There was exiles, the riffraff, criminals and everything that was escaping. Right? They was either exiled or escaped or immigrated to the British Isles, which is not Europe, they're islands. That's why I say the dust of the earth. Right? And then out of their side came America. That's Eve. That's where America came out of. And then his womb was cut, sealed. That's the revolution. So they broke into two parts. That's what that story is, brothers and sisters. Anyway, it says, they ate, they went against what they was told to do. Right? They was convinced by a serpent. I'm not going into that kind of detail here, brothers and sisters. I got a point I want to make. I'm getting to a very special point. I want to build up the background before we get there. And once they did, the eyes became open. Now, I'm not going into detail about that because eyes represents the original people, and I'm not going into that kind of detail, right? But then they knew they was naked. Then they had knowledge. Now they knew it was naked. Now they knew they were ignorant. You know how ignorant they were. They knew how ignorant they were. Now I'm showing an angel key here, right? And so then they covered themselves, right, with the leaves of the garden, it's also like sackcloth. That's another story. That's the war, right? Because all this happens when this war starts in the Middle East. See? So how you see that? Go and eat. Eyes become open. Now they realize they're ignorant. So now they have this knowledge. Knowledge of good and evil. Didn't have it before, it was ignorant. Now they realize they're ignorant, that there's knowledge now. See? And if I have time, I mean, things are moving very rapidly, bro, since I try to a little more detail, show, I connect this up to, right, the 500 year, 50 year, I'm not going to do that here. Because we got a lot to cover, and I'm just laying a foundation here. Okay, so what happens now? It said, the Lord God said, behold, the man has become like one of us. So you're talking about Jesus? They become like Jesus now? If you say that the God's talking about the Lord is only Jesus and God, or whatever, however the craziness you're talking about, and knowing good and evil. And he has this knowledge, all this technology and stuff you see, he got from us. He was ignorant. I keep telling you, they got this information from us. The 5,500 years, and they was totally horse and buggy, and all of a sudden, since they brought us over here, the tree, all of a sudden, all this knowledge, innovation, technology is not being produced in Europe, it's not being produced in China, it's not being produced in France, it's not being produced in Germany. All they're doing is replicating what the technology they got here: cars, trains, internet, computers, right? Electricity, all came here. So why isn't it coming out, innovations coming out anyplace else but in America? Because the tree is here. And they don't want you to know that. So it says, knowing good and evil. See, and he might reach out his hand and take fruit also from the tree of life, eat and live forever. So it's a special knowledge, a superior knowledge the tree of life has. If God is concerned, if they got hold of that, they'll live forever, they'll be like us. And so the tree of knowledge had to be taken away and hidden from them, snatched away, hidden from them, so they couldn't get it. And then they was driven out the garden. She said they would surely die, but they didn't die. It wasn't talking about physically die, talking about they would die as a nation. Because they said, if you read the next part, it says they drove out, and their life would be just horrible after that. So they didn't die as an individual, they died as a nation. It's talking about America, Gog and Magog. Right? What's going to happen to them once the war starts and they kicked out. But this tree has special knowledge. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things here. At least one thing anyway. I told 50 years, I said that Industrial Revolution came around 1860s, right? That came up from us. That freed us from having to be in the fields. Broke out physical chains. And then 50 years later, you got cars and planes and stuff, and another level of technology that came out of nowhere. Didn't come from them, came from us. And then music, blues, and then 50 years later, jazz, and then 50 years later, Motown sound. You got computers and satellites and all that kind of stuff. Another level of, it's coming from us. It's not coming any place else in the world, just us. And now we're 50 years now, and we've reached another energy wave that's already been absorbed by the earth. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it's coming all of a sudden. So now we're going to start feeling the benefits of it soon. It's very important. Remember this, because we're going to bring this up again. It's already, Earth is orbit. The earth absorbs the energy and can transform it in a form that we can use. Nutrition, richer air, oxygen, whatever. It transforms in a form we can use because we can't use it as a raw form. So it converts in a form we can use. Transforms it in a form we can use. And then we absorb it on a 24-hour basis because our biology has us absorb energy on a 24-hour basis. And the amount of energy that's come is divided by the whole population. That's another story altogether. Understand? and we're going to start receiving the benefit. It says it's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes all sudden. So it's suddenly, so soon, right? Just like in the 60s, suddenly, right? Black folks got energized. Then you had the so-called civil rights, integrated, separated. You had the two frame of mind, demons and the saints, chaff and the wheat. Same thing in the 20s. All of a sudden you got Marcus Garvey, the Afrocentric, Eurocentric, right? Two different mind frames, right? One from demons, one from the saints. Right? And 50 years earlier than that. So now we're about to receive another one. I mean, just came here, did these movements, Civil War, all that kind of stuff, So every 50 years. So now we're in the verge of receiving energy because it's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes all of a sudden. So suddenly we're going to get this burst of energy, and it's going to be continuously getting it for the next 50 years on a 24-hour basis. And that's going to energize us to the next level. Because each time one came, we moved to another level. Went from chain slavery, right? The next level, right? Afrocentric thinking. Next level, right? Separation. Next level, actually gone. But in their point of view, they were sharecroppers. Then they went to Eurocentric. Then they went to integration. And next they're going to be, next stage is going to be a war with, that's another story. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Momentous in the heavens and earth comes all of a sudden. So that means suddenly this energy going to cause a new music, blues, 1860s, 50 years later, jazz, 50 years later, Motown sound. A new music is going to reflect our mood. A new technology that's going to overshadow, because there's greater pressure, greater mind, that's going to overshadow this technology. It's like this technology overshadowed the technology of 50 years ago. Like that technology overshadowed the agricultural age. That's the tree of life, because that knowledge is so superior that it said if they got hold of that, because right now they can, since we're under their control, under Pharaoh's control, they control our knowledge. They became powerful because they control our knowledge. That's why they keep us here, because they got rich and powerful of our labor and our knowledge. Because we are the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They got it from us. If we weren't here, they would just be just as bad as they were 500 years ago. Ignorant, stupid, no knowledge whatsoever. Understand that, brothers and sisters. So now we're at the point where this news about to, right? But it says, what happens? It says, no, we had to remove them. Because they got their hands on that. Right? That new technology, that new idea, new knowledge, they would live, they'd be like us, be like God, live forever. That's why it says Michael had to take us out here, time unprecedented trouble, snatch us out of here. So they wouldn't get their hand up because we're the tree of life. Come on, brothers and sisters. I'm just trying to lay a foundation because I'm getting to a point here. Now, the sign of Jonah. Now, look at the sign of Jonah. Now, the sign of Jonah, it says the only sign be given this wicked generation. Think about that. It didn't say the only sign given. It said the only sign given the wicked generation. That means the righteous people, they would get many signs. This means a sign of perdition. We know that. I'll tell you what that sign is. Right? 42 years under Elijah's seat. Elijah's removal. Right? Mention of covenant. Breaking the 7 seals. Many signs. Okay? But only one sign be given to them. They produce signs too. But there's only one sign that we gave to them. Because they would produce signs. It tells you an angel, they would produce signs of devils, demons, all of them. They produce signs. Right? Come produce signs, me and man march. There's only one sign we would give to them. That's crucial. And you'll see how crucial that is in a minute. See, because why did they need a sign? They looking for why was they looking for a sign? Says this weak generation was looking for a sign. Why was they looking for a sign? It said the only sign to be given is the sign of Jonah. What was the sign of Jonah? The sign of Jonah was about repentance. See, there's supposed to be an imminent destruction, but it was held back because people repented. But it's talking about Nineveh and Nineveh, the great city. And you think they're the same thing, you know, because Nineveh, the great city, is 3,000 miles apart, 3,000 miles, of course, 3 days' journey, with 1,000 miles each day, right? That's America. But Nineveh, Nineveh, right? That's 1 day's journey, 1,000 miles from the East Coast. That's Chicago. That represents the Nation of Islam. That's the one that repented. Nineveh, the great city, did not repent. America did not repent. But it says Nineveh repented. Now, there's a sealed Bible side and an unsealed Bible side. I'm going to talk about the unsealed Bible side because that repentance. But what's that repentance all about? Because they sent Farrakhan there. These are Levites. There's Elijah Muhammad's army. See, he would raise the Levites, the widow's woman's son, but it takes Suleiman to raise Lazarus. But Levites would raise first because they was the one that was to build a bridge between Elijah and Joshua, right? And provide protection, right? And security for Lazarus while he was still in the tomb. Protect them. And they failed at that because Farrakhan, when that's the man in Mark, he's in the tombs, right? Where was Lazarus? In the tombs. But he was beating himself. He turned his knowledge against himself. Because remember, it says in there, he was out of control. Nobody could control him. That means Elijah Muhammad had raised his pressure level above devil's pressure level. So they had greater pressure. So they couldn't be, because if you're not controlled, that means your pressure is greater than anybody else around you. If no one can control you, that means your pressure is greater than anybody around you. You understand? That's what that means. Understand what these things mean. Because if you're pressed, then you're under control. But that was not under control. That pressure was greater. Elijah Muhammad, the knowledge he gave them, right, had a greater pressure than anybody around. That way that's what it's trying to tell you. No one could control them. Until the demons came in, and demons had possession of them. That's why they were sending to do that. That's Farrakhan's mission. So he lowered their pressure level. So then they was able to control. Because now you don't call devils anymore, right? It's not about building a nation anymore. I don't know why they even bother calling the Nation of Islam, right? It's about self what do you call it? Teaching. What do you call it? Self-help or whatever kind of teaching. Self-improvement. That's what the FBI said they wanted. That's what he gave them. Scientology and everything else. L. Ron Hubbard. Sweet Lord. And demons, Louis Eugene Grounds, that's Farrakhan's name. Louis Eugene Grounds, NY backwards, that's Legion. They had control of them. So the sign was they had to repent of him. That's getting the demons, throwing the demons out. That's the whole thing in Mark. Because the demons had possession of him, Suleiman had to break that grip. Then the man was free of him. He got his mind back. See what I'm saying? They took his mind from him. His mind was taken, so that he had lower pressure, so they could control him. Then using his mind, using his power against himself. Farrakhan turned against him. Oh, see, Elijah Muhammad said, you're not wicked people, you're righteous people. He said, no, you're wicked people, so now you turn your energy against yourself. You understand? I'm trying to get somewhere here. So that would be the sign that was given. That the man was free of demons and he got his mind back. That's what it meant by repent. You gotta I'm not going to store all kind of real detail about that. That's what it meant. They repented, right? That's a sign. Now, why is that a sign? Because the original nation You got to understand the idea of energy deprivation. We lost 6,000 years ago. We lost the ability to maintain civilization. 50,000 years ago, we lost the ability to maintain our land. It was kicked out. Maintain our mathematical standard. As religion came in, it takes energy for that. So 6,000 years ago, right, we couldn't control. That's why I said let's make Adam, make the Caucasians, right, and they because they're less sophisticated, they're less complex beings, they require less energy, so they was given rulership. They was given rulership because we were losing it. Okay, let's move on. Let go on. Move on in. See, I want to really get into this, brothers and sisters. See, here I'm going to read this. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah second time. See, Jonah him and God had a little conflict. He had to spend 3 years on Demon's Island because of it. Because he didn't want to deal with Pharaoh's people. Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and proclaim Nineveh, the great city, and proclaim to it the proclamation which I shall tell you. So Jonah got up and went to Nineveh according to the word of the Lord. See, there's two places there. Nineveh, great city. You go to America, but you actually want to go to Nineveh. And I said, Nineveh was a exceedingly large city. That's a large city again, right? And it was 3 days walk. That means 3,000 miles across. But Jonah entered through the city in 1 day's walk. Think about that. So he's doing something else because he said it's 3 days walk, but if it's 3 days across, then as soon as he stepped in this city, right? But he says he had to walk a whole day, right? It didn't make sense if you try to take that same thing, right? Because it says he entered, right, after, 1 day's walk. That means you got 3,000 miles, but he walks 1,000 miles into it, right? And he enters someplace else, right? And Nineveh, see, Nineveh itself, the great city was 3,000 miles across, but in Nineveh itself, right here, 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. You got to think carefully. So that means Nineveh is where you actually go to, and that's 1,000 miles in. That's the headquarters. That's Chicago. That's headquarters of NOI. So it's Nineveh. See, Farrakhan was telling about how he's going to get America to repent. No. That's not talking about that at all. So Nineveh represents NOI. Okay? He gets them to repent. So I'm kind of like showing, see, okay. Okay, see the sun there? Sun represents Suleiman, right? So you see Nineveh, right, is right under Britain. So I'm not going to speak that because that's not the point I'm trying to make here. But then he goes there. So there's some details in the middle. I'm not going to go to it, but it says, I want to get to another main point. I'm just building this up, right? But it says, then the people of Nineveh again, not Nineveh, the great city, believed in God, and they called a fast, put on sackcloth from the greatest to the least of them. When the word reached the king of Nineveh again, he got up from his throne and moved his robe from himself, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat on the dust. See? So this is what's happening here. See? It said he covered himself with sackcloth. See, Syria and Iran represents sackcloth. You got to read chapter 11 for that. So it's telling you that the time to repent is a time when the war takes place, American Britain is kicked out. Right? And they're under attack by American Britain. We're going to get into that in a little more detail. But it's getting your time frame there. Because it says, cover yourself with sackcloth. So it's giving you a time frame that they will repent. Like I said, when the war starts, during that time, that's when repentance would take place. Because it says, the war in heaven, it says they was kicked out. Dragon's angel was kicked out. And then it says, the accuser of our brethren was also cast down, which is Farrakhan. He's always accusing us. You're so evil, so wicked. Anyway, that's the sign of Jonah. See? That's the sign of Jonah. Let me say this another way. I was saying that we didn't have enough to maintain our civilization 6,000 years ago. So they gave them power to do that. And I'm going to talk more in detail on that in this last part here. Right? So now, those that understand the angel that's been studying it know about New Jerusalem. We're coming together as New Jerusalem. I got New Jerusalem there. I'm going to explain that more in the next segment after this, what I'm going to talk about. But this energy wave we're about to receive right now is going to give us enough energy to maintain a civilization, not the one we originally had 6,000 years ago, all gold, a weaker one, but it'd be a righteous one that don't take as much energy, right, to control, to maintain. Well, let me say a couple of things here. Elijah Muhammad said, Master Prophet Muhammad is a made God. Why do you say he's a made God? And they was teaching on it. They said, the original gods are more powerful. What do you mean? Because he's original. He just, right? But he's talking about, that's all original, not half and half. Said they're more powerful. But Elijah Muhammad said, body had to be prepared. Because the idea behind Master Muhammad is that he would not suffer energy deprivation. He won't suffer energy deprivation because he got a double body which doesn't suffer energy deprivation during his time period. But he got an original mind. And the New Jerusalem reflects that same structure. Because the highest part, right, that's the mind part, that's totally gold, totally original, right? While the Shia, right, they're like Master Prophet Muhammad, right? They got devil bodies. So we have enough energy to maintain that. That's what this energy burst is about to happen. This energy burst is about to give us enough energy to do that. It's like the last one gave us enough energy, right, for the so-called civil rights movement. But that's when the Nation of Islam really got strong, right? See? And so you had two divisions. You had the Elijah Muhammad axis and you had the Martin Luther King axis. And both was prominent at that time. Here figures like Elijah, Malcolm X, with him, right? And Ali and so forth, so on, right? And then you had Martin Luther King on the other side. He represented the demons and Elijah Muhammad represented the saints. So that was a burst of energy. He had a burst of energy 20 years before with Marcus Garvey and so forth, Noble Drew Ali, that kind of thing. So this burst will energize us enough, right, to have more control, to finally separate from these devils, be independent of them. So have enough energy, right, to form our own civilization. We don't have it right now. We're going to have it in a few minutes. Now, why is that important? Because the sign of Jonah is a sign that that's happening. Because they're coming together at that point, because that's unity. Remember, because when you say have enough energy, that means we have enough energy to come together again. So we have enough energy to be together. That's why we all divided. As the Quran says, Allah took and unite our hearts. So that time our hearts will be united because our hearts are against each other. We don't have enough energy to bond with each other. But we'll in a minute. The sign of Jonah is a sign of that because the Levites come together and they push, they push out the demons. But it takes Suleiman to give them to give them the quality to do that because they've been, Pharaoh have misused their energy and everything else. So he takes and put them back on track and takes to the next level above what Elijah Muhammad had. He takes to the angel level. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. The main point is that that's the sign that black folks are beginning to unite. The hearts are being come together, unite. That's the sign of Jonah. Now, why is that important? That's the only sign given this wicked generation. Why are they looking for this sign? Because remember, they got rich and powerful over our disunity. That's the whole reason why you got the demons in there to keep us be disunited. And now the demons are kicked out. And now the Levites united and Lazarus comes right with them. Both happen at the same time. Because now enough energy for them to push the demons out, enough energy for Lazarus to rise, come together, hearts united. Why is that important? Why is that important? That's a sign. The only sign of this wicked generation. That's what we're going to talk about, bro. So that's the point I'm trying to get to. That's what I'm trying to get to. So this is going to take a little bit time here. Okay. Just a little detail, maybe a little more detail than necessary, but about this trees, right? Really, multiple trees. Tree of knowledge of good, tree of evil. They ate that already. And then the tree of life, right? That's the one that's God's taking out of their reach so they can't get hold to it. And really, that's us. We move to the next level, angel level. If they get, we're still here when that knowledge is revealed, comes out, then they'll have control because they have control of us. And see what the results that would be. They become like gods, we'll be able to get rid of them. Okay, so let's look at this. Now what I'm gonna do here is, I'm gonna talk about their plan. They got a lot of plan, but I'm gonna talk about their major plan. The one they talk about in Genesis. Then you see why all this is important, why this makes, how this comes together. Now on the right, I got Master Muhammad's plan. It says they have a plan, Allah has a plan, Allah has the best of planners. And on the left is their plan. This is Angel Key. This is structure. It was, right, in 2018 when the agreement was broken by Trump, right? The JCPOA broken in the middle of the week, as says in Daniel, after 3.5 years. That's where it looks at that point in time. Angel Key, that's where it looked. Okay? Remember, the right represents Master Muhammad's plan, the left represents the devil's plans. Okay? This is where we are right now. Okay? There's conflict between America, Britain, false Israel, and the Shia. A war could break out any day. War in heaven. The Michael's angel and dragon and his angels. That's where we are right now. It can happen any time right now. Anytime. It can happen any minute. As I talk about convergence, this also speaks to convergence. It tells you, because you understand what the, what's the word I want to use, how critical it is. All the things I'm talking about was leaving, the knowledge, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to bring all together here, Moses. That's where we are right now, right? Okay. This is their plan. This is their long-standing plan. See? Now, on the left of it, so here it is. his Jonah goes to Nineveh. And that's the only sign given to them. But we have it here, right? I'm showing here, he goes to him before the war starts. See? This plan ahead, because remember, they're looking at, they said they was looking for a sign. They was looking for a sign. The sign just given to them, said they was looking for a sign. What was the sign looking for? The sign of unity, any unity of black people. They was looking for any sign. This is their plan. Any sign, they're looking for it. They ain't telling you, they look for any sign that black folks might unite. They say that in the so-called FBI thing that co-intelligence, what they call it. I never can get that right, bro. Since I keep looking at something, remember it. I never apologize. It's a paper that the FBI put out prior to Elijah Muhammad's departure about what to do about the Nation of Islam in his absence, in his departure, in his death, according to them, and all the points they wanted to address, and what they wanted to achieve, and all the goals they had in mind. And Farrakhan gave them every one of them. Every one of them. But in their minds, because they said, we can't let a black messiah rise and electrify the people, unite the people. That was their concern. That was their concern. So they've been preparing for that. It says it in those pages. That's preparing for it. What we're going to do? We can't have it happen. What we're going to do? They said we got to have a plan. We got a plan for that contingency. They said they had a plan for that contingency, right, to make sure that the Nation of Islam that never happens. Nobody rises up like that. So I'm going to go into that plan. So look at it like this here. See? Remember, this is not what happens. This is what they plan if it happens. So here he comes, right? On the left there. So Jonah had to go to Nineveh. Remember, he had to go to Nineveh, right? So he comes, shows up. Says, so their plan, if that happens, to immediately attack, take out all blacks. Take them out. That's their plan. That's an Abney story. When they say, and that's the still version. Eat. See, you got one, when they say eat, that's getting knowledge. The other was when you take some out of existence, immediately attack them. Immediately attack them. On the right side, nothing happened. On the left side, that was their plan, immediate attack. Take them out. Sign unity. Just their planning. Okay? But on the right, what happened on the right? On the right there, that's the war. Master Muhammad moves first. Before, right? In other words, when they see it's coming, they see the sign, but Master Muhammad is waiting for the same sign too. That's why he's not doing anything. Because remember, they're looking for a sign of unity to destroy us. He's looking for a sign of unity. You know, that's the time to make his move, because if he makes his move before that, then all hell breaks loose, but we're not united. Then we can be picked off. Both are working for the same sign. Because that's his sign to move. He said, what's waiting? See, I never talked to you about this before. I said, what is, I told you, I knew what he was waiting for. I just wouldn't tell you. That's what Master Muhammad's waiting for. He's waiting for, I can say it now because we're so close. He's waiting for a sign of unity too, because that's the time. Because otherwise, if he moves before that, then we're all scattered. We're not going to flee. We're not going to know what to do. He's looking for a sign of unity too. But as soon as he moves quick, and he starts the war in the Middle East, which distracts them, slows them down because they weren't expecting that. You see the two differences right there? That's their plan on the left, that's his plan on the right. So that's their plan to do that, but he does that instead. It's on the right. Distract them. Because remember, you got to flee. He gives you a few extra, right? He distracts them. Okay, understand that, brothers and sisters? I'm making this clear. I said we get closer, I make clearer and clearer. See? Now that was their plan on the left. But he distracts them and distracts them. But remember, now he's in control of the Middle East at that time. He's in control of the Middle East at that time. That means oil is shut off. There's no more oil coming to Europe or America from Saudi Arabia, from any place. They have total control of oil in the Middle East, which at that point triggers famine. Triggers famine. I talk about diesel fuel and that kind of stuff. It triggers famine. Not so much so that there ain't no food on the farms. They just can't get to you because America's in an oil crisis. So they already have a diesel food problem. Now they have total, and at this point they're also at war. They just got kicked out of the Middle East, and now they're at war with Russia. They're at war with China. So whatever fuel they have in reserve, because he already got most of his strategic petroleum reserve, SPR. He's got rid of most of that, so they don't have no reserve oil. So they got to confiscate whatever it is. That means there's no food getting to the market. And you ain't got no money, there's no food for gas or anything else. So a famine hits America immediately during this time. And so now, right, they're not just attacking you because you're not in it. They're attacking you for food. You're going to be the menu. But famine hits the same time. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. But on the left, remember, they continue with if they're playing, if this wasn't happening on the right, this will be happening on the left. Remember, if Master Muhammad wasn't doing what he was doing, this will be happening, their plan happening on the left. Understand that. They're not simultaneous, they're two different things. It's one path, another path. What they had planned, right? And what Master Muhammad does, right? So it's two different paths here. So on the left, if Master Muhammad hadn't acted, right? This is their global plan, right? Then, once they did that, false Israel, right? America and Britain, they have total control of the Middle East now, right? See, I mean, false Israel, right? See? So they control and they take out Iran and Syria. So America's at war in Europe. They also war in China and also have, remember, false Israel with them. They take out Syria and Iran. That's the path they was on. Over here on the other side, knocked America and Britain out of the Middle East. This is what actually happened. This is what Master Muhammad's plan. This is actually what's going to happen. Right? Unless he doesn't move, then that way on the left, they'll succeed their plan. Okay, then there's false Israel surrounded by armies. That's some abominable desolation. Now it's surrounded by armies. The isolated American Britain's kicked out. There's famine. False Israel, they tell you false Israel will be under famine because they were eating each other. It's going to be broadcast over the world. The Bible tells you that. And also in America, right? It's famine. So you figure, well, if there's no food, absolutely no food available after 1 week in America, what do you think America's going to be like? These people got to eat. And you 3/5 human, so it means you edible. Okay. You can laugh at it if you want to. I guarantee you won't be laughing by the end of the year. And then, that's when they knocked out Syria and Iran, right? And then they hit Russia. I talked about that. Russia and China and Korea. Sudden attack. That's their plan. Sudden sneak attack, bam. See? But on the right side there, right? False Israel was taken out. False Israel was taken out. No. Nineveh has, on the right side, Nineveh has repented. Right? They've kicked Farrakhan out. Right? Now Suleiman's in charge. We see Mark. Demons are cast. Well, that all hasn't fully happened yet. But now Suleiman's in charge of NOI. Right? Joshua's in charge. Then the four winds blow. Right? So you see, on America's time stand of their plan was to see, right? They have control of everything. They wiped out all the enemies. Right? On the right, the four winds blow. I'm not going into detail about that. And then all the blasts come together. They come together because they're under attack. Okay. Famine. They've been eaten. They're attacking all blacks. The original purpose was unity, but now it happened the way Master Muhammad says it's a famine, plagues, diseases, everything is happening. Civil war going on, everything. America's been torn to pieces. Now I got Suleiman, I didn't move him up. That's a mistake. He shouldn't be in that position on the right, but don't let that deter you. So notice on the left here, then they wanted to grab the tree of life. The rest of us, we haven't left here yet, on their plan. Remember, they didn't want to get the tree of life. That's what they want. They want that tree of life. They already told them, if you get a tree of life, remember that's new technology I'm telling you about? That's their plan, to get hold of that. Get rid of everybody else and get hold of that. See? On the right, all the chaff and wheat come together. That's Master Muhammad's doing that. That's what's actually going to happen. On the left is just what they was hoping to happen. That was their plan to make happen. Hope you understand the distinction, brothers and sisters. Remember, the four winds are still blowing. The last one haven't blown yet. Right? When the war's taking place, American Britain's kicked out of the Middle East. False Israel's gone. That's on the right. On the left, they got tree of life. And now that's their configuration. American Britain's on top. False Israel's controlling the Middle East. Right? That's Satan on the throne. And they got whole control of the tree of life. Us under their control. Milking us of our knowledge, the new technology and everything else. They control it all. And then, before winds finish blowing, and we're out of here. Tree of life is separated because Syria and Iran is not coming over here. So we're over there. We're going. And the demons, right? They're cast out. That's in Mark, right? Legion, they cast out their devil daddies, their swine daddies, right? When Suleiman gets on the boat and leaves his people. And NOI is left behind during the tribulation period. On the left there, that's the new configuration they wanted. They control everything. That's their plan. One of many, but that's their major plan that Master Muhammad disrupts. Okay, I don't think I need to say any more about that, brothers and sisters. So you can study on your own. I just showed already. At your own leisure. We understand, brothers and sisters. Now, I'm going to talk about this last phase here. I'm going to take a minute break, brothers and sisters. And so you get a chance to contemplate what we talked about. This won't take that long. But it's some very important, well, all the information is important. But I'm explaining this in the way I haven't explained before. So hold on here. Give me a minute, brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. Okay, brothers and sisters, let me reiterate about sign of Jonah. Remember, they're looking for a sign. They said they was looking for a sign. They're looking for a sign of our unity. They anticipate this our unity. Okay? And they're ready. Their plan is, if any sign of it, that's what it's talking about, that FBI co-intelligence thing, whatever, destroy us. Any sign of unity right away. Don't hesitate. That's what that sign of Jonah, they're looking for it. And that will give them a sign of unity. They will attack us. They will attack us. That's what it's all about. Destroy us. Because you know, if we unify, that's the end of it. They ain't telling you that. That's Democrats, all of them. They poise, that's their plan, right? To take us out immediately. Any sign of unity, if they see it happening. Understand that. That's the sign of Jonah, because sign of Jonah means that's what's about to happen. They're looking for it, And Master Muhammad looked for it also because he needs us to be at that point in time where we can unify. Otherwise, if he does attack, we won't be united and then we'll be scattered. And it'd be easy for them to pick us off. Easy for them to pick us off. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. That's he's waiting for, and that's what they're waiting for. It's not a Jonah. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. Oh. Now, brothers and sisters, I need to explain something here. See, some people talk about Dr. Yaqub like he was an evil scientist. Now, she never said he was an evil scientist. I can't recall me saying anything bad about Dr. Yaqub. He like his creation. But Dr. Yaqub was allowed to do what he wanted, what he did. He could have been stopped. He was allowed to do. He allowed him to make that clear. He was stopped. So why? Because you don't understand the full wisdom behind Dr. Yaqub and what he did. Regardless of what his intentions were, we turn everything to good. So consider this for a minute. After 6,000 years, who was at rock bottom? 1860, who was at rock bottom? I mean, we was totally in captivity. Our nation was corrupted. We had no knowledge of self. We was totally messed up. That's the worst condition in the 1860s. We was the worst condition ever. Ever. The whole 6,000 year period. So it's like, you know, you're going down, you dig a hole, six miles deep. But now, in other words, if you walk downstairs, it take you 6 hours to walk down. It might take 6 hours to walk back up. See, people don't pay attention to that. If we was at the lowest, you think we go from the lowest to the top? Unless you got an elevator, if you walk down 3 flights of steps, you got to walk up 3 flights of steps to get back up to where you were to begin with. You're on the 3rd floor and you walk down to the basement, then you got to walk back up to the 1st, 2nd, 3rd to get back to the 3rd floor again. So if we was at rock bottom in 6,000 years, that means we got 6,000 years to get back up to where we were 6,000 years ago. Does that make sense to you, brothers and sisters? See, you don't see it that way because you never weren't taught that way. I'm trying to explain it to you. So there we were, 6,000. So we were rock bottom. The devils were on top. Okay. But see, Dr. Yaqub, he took that recessive gene, that brown gene. We had a dominant gene and a recessive gene. They call it recessive, you understand, genetics. And he took it and brought it into, used that and brought his creation into existence from that, or that weaker sperm, if you want to say, weaker genetic code that we had. We had both. So he brought that into existence. You see? And we let him bring to existence. We say that's a bad thing. See, it wasn't a bad thing because if they're a personification of our situation, they can't be any better than the situation. It's just that the quality of it. It's the quality of it. It was going to be bad for us, maybe 100 years of negative energy, but what form it took. It's just the form it took. They be the personification of our bad luck for 6,000 years, personification of our energy deprivation. They lost 3,000 years of it right off the bat, 2,000 years right off the bat, and then 1,000 years about 2,500 years ago. So 3,000 years of their history lost. But why was, see, they made a personification of energy deprivation, so all the bad luck will come in through them. That's why Jesus says what? And it says in the Bible, right? Evil days must come, but woe to those through who it comes, or it's the personification of it. So making them, that was a good thing. Why? Because Elijah Muhammad said, Master Muhammad is a made God. He's made God. What do you mean a made God? Because he said the original is power. Because the original, all gold. Master Muhammad, he's mixed. And he's made that way so he will not suffer any deprivation. And New Jerusalem reflects the same way, because it doesn't take so much. See, to maintain a total gold civilization, we couldn't do it. Not during this 6,000-year period, couldn't do it. That's why we fell. We kept getting weaker and weaker and weaker, because we're trying to maintain a Lamborghini when we ain't got no money anymore, right? We ain't no job, right? On welfare, trying to maintain a Lamborghini, can't do it. So by making Yahu's grafted devil, we can make a hybrid people, hybrid civilization that we could control. But we couldn't do that before we made Dr. Yahu's creation. Before his creation came in. We didn't have no material to work with. Gold is gold, gold is gold is gold. We had nothing to dilute it with. But once he made the devils, now we have something diluted. So then we start a dilution process. Everybody except the top tribe of Jabaz. Didn't want to dilute them, because when we return back to our original self, we want to be 100% pure gold diamonds. We didn't want to dilute them. Everybody else got diluted. As you see right there. Turn from black gold to red to brown. More dilution. But you need Yahu's creation to do that. Without that material, you have nothing to work with. What was the other side of that? Because we was at rock bottom after 6,000 years. I mean, now we got to go climb back up to where it was before. That's another 6,000 years. If we want to go through another 6,000 years of what we just went through, no. So by diluting, then we was able to put a civilization together that we could control for 6,000 years. Until we got on top, and then we'd have a pure civilization again. Elijah Muhammad talked about that. He said 9,000 years from now. Well, I mean, that's not wrong, because it would be 9,000, but it would have to actually start 6,000 years from now. But he said after 9,000 years, which was true after 100,000 years. But he said it'd be all original again, all black again. Now, I've got actually word to use, but that's what he meant. So after 6,000 years from now, we have all gold again. But we can't have it. So for the next, that's why I say Master Muhammad is the Lord of Dawn, because he will control for the next 1,000 years. Him and his seed will control sitting on that throne for the next 6,000 years. And Elijah Muhammad talked about this, because most of the brothers, they didn't understand it, but they said that they thought it was Elijah Muhammad. They said that after I forgot how many, whatever years they thought it was, right? It said the throne will return back from Master Muhammad to, they thought Elijah, I forgot how they had it. They had all kind of mixed up. But it returned back to Suleiman's seed, 25th scientist. Because he gives the kingdom to Master Farah Muhammad. Because he has the power to rule it. But he's faithful and true. So he has power to rule for 6,000 years. His seed will rule it for 6,000 years. Because the structure. They won't be suffering any deprivation. We won't be suffering personal energy deprivation, but we still be suffering a civilization energy deprivation. It means that we don't have enough to control civilization, not a gold one, but we have enough to control the New Jerusalem. That's why we fashioned that way. It's in the same format as Master Muhammad, gold in the middle, and white on the outside. So that civilization will not suffer energy deprivation. And that's when we can be controlled and be controlled by the made God, who not to suffer in their face neither. And so after 6,000 years, then it returned to the seed of Suleiman. Because all the scientists are his seed anyway. That's no story altogether. You understand? That's why we should be happy with Dr. Yakub, because he gave us the material to do that. Otherwise, we'd stay all gold and we'd have suffered another 6,000 years. Because we still, remember, during this period, we don't have time, we don't have the ability to control a gold civilization. We lost control of it 6,000 years ago. We went down to 0, and now we rise back up, but it still takes 6,000 years to be able to do it again. So unless we want to sit around and suffer for another 6,000 years, then we made the devils, so we can use that material, because they really didn't harm us anymore and would have been harmed anyway. Except the hard cost, which they're going to be paid for that, the consequence of that. But we benefit from it because that additional pressure transforms us to gold. To silver, to diamonds. You understand, brothers and sisters? That's why we do things we do. I'm trying to explain. That's why New Jerusalem looks like it looks. It's not all gold. That's why it looks like it looks. So now we can take control of the kingdom all over again and rule it. Master Muhammad will be the one on the throne. He's the God who will control it. Faithful and true. He control over the next 6,000 years. His seed will sit on that throne. And then return back to Joshua's 6,000 years, his seed. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. I'm revealing a lot of stuff, brothers and sisters. I don't know if it's helping you or not. But everything I told you, you're going to find out exactly true, because I'm not deleting my archives. Everything I say is not just scripturally true, it's mathematically true. You understand the mathematics, if you see it, that makes sense. It took 6,000 years to get to nothing. It takes 6,000 years to get back to something. Because from something to nothing, 6,000 years, it takes 6,000 years to go back from nothing to something again. So doing that, using that material, we was able to construct a New Jerusalem that we would not be nothing for 6,000 years. Would be something. It won't be gold. It would be silver. Because remember, Levites represent silver and iron. So instead of a kingdom made of gold, made of silver and iron. And with iron, the Levites, the Shiites represents Master Muhammad's iron, a rod of iron. So now the kingdom made of gold, silver, and iron, instead of being made of just gold. And that's a civilization that can be, right, that we don't need that much energy to maintain. It's not all gold. Gold is more precious than silver and iron. But it's strong, it's firm, it works. But we'll have a golden kingdom until we're 6,000 years from now. Understand, brothers and sisters? That's why I use those metals. New Jerusalem, we made of gold, silver, and iron. Not all gold. 1/3 gold, 1/3 silver, 1/3 iron. And that one doesn't cost, if you got a car that's all gold, it's much more expensive, right, to maintain it than if it was made of gold and iron and silver, right? They're cheaper metals, so that's cheaper. It maybe you have both Lamborghinis. One's pure gold, and one's made of gold, silver, and iron. And that one made of gold, silver. It won't cost as much, won't make as much to maintain. It's still Lamborghini. They're just alike. And maybe even stronger since iron. Understand, brothers and sisters? After I mentioned, bring that up. That's it, brothers. I'm going to leave it there. That's it. Remember, brothers and sisters, they're playing. They're looking for the sign of Jonah also. And that's going to happen very soon. Both of them look for that, because that's a sign that there's enough energy. The energy's starting to receive the energy. The energy start to unify us. And both have moves faster just fast enough, distract them before they can attack us. Because they're gonna be distracted by that war in the Middle East. Just give us enough time, plus with the 4 winds, right, to flee. Understand that, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Because they got a plan, Allah has a plan, Allah has the best of plans, but both will look for that sign of Jonah. That's what the real sign of Jonah is all about. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. It's the sign that's time. That's what he's waiting for. Because if we do it before that, we won't be united. They can be picked off. That sign. Time for us to be ready to be united. But that's good for Master Muhammad. That's what he wants. That's what they don't want. When they see that, wipe us out. Master Muhammad says it's time to harvest. Time to pull them out. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to leave it there. I tell you, brothers and sisters. Oh, okay. Ooh, what happened there? Mm-hmm. Okay, assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.